Hey, you guys, welcome. I'm going to do our Miracles, Magic, Healing, and More on Facebook today instead of the usual YouTube. And it's because Dr. Tom, he was busy again, but he just sent me a message that made me smile. He said he was blocking out his entire next full year to be on with us at 10:15 Pacific time every week on Wednesdays. So so that's cool. It's going to be awesome. You could never get tired of listening to Tom because he's got so much wisdom. And what the show was going to be about with him was about his story, because he built a really big thing. I'm going to give you guys the link to so you can have the replay to this in a little bit later. He and his wife, the late Sharon Mateo, built an amazing business along with Sharon's daughter, Iolette. And they had, I think, about 14 clinics around the world at the time that I met them, maybe a few less, and then they got a couple more. And let me just put this in here for next so you can get the replay. Replay will be here. And so we're going to do a thing about what they did, like, their story of how they overcame fear and anxiety, and was there doubt along the way of doing big things in the world and that sort of thing. So, but then I thought, well, you know what, we'll do one about our journey, because Jen and I have had quite an interesting time, and even before I met Jen, an interesting time. So I want to share this, because if you know it's been done before, you can do it again, or you can do it. And there's ways to get things in a magical way. There's ways to just make things happen. Some of the techniques that we have are literally called instant miracle technique. And in matrix energetics, there's instant manifestations, healings. We've seen stuff that's like beyond belief. And yet there's also stuff to do that's in a systematic, process-oriented way. So I want to give you a little bit about what happened with us, because I'm hoping it'll inspire you. Let me just go here. Where was this? I think it was in here. I'm trying to think what I was looking for. Yeah, okay. So years ago, I, as a lot of you know, I was dealing with severe anxiety. It's how I grew up because of so much, not good things happening to little kids kind of stuff. And for some reason, I was on this path. Like when I remember being in junior high, even before that, and just wanting to like do things right. Like I actually remember thinking as a little kid, I wish I would have known about sin, because then I could have made a decision to never, ever, ever sin, so I could go to heaven kind of thing. And I looked up to my stepdad so much, and I thought of him as perfect. He was definitely not perfect. But I remember I wanted this kind of idea of perfection. And then as a junior high kid, I was in so much turmoil, severe anxiety, a lot of anger, a lot of just awful. And but it was all internal, and because I was the nicest kid on the outside except to my sister. And I would read the Bible, especially the New Testament, and read about Jesus, and like, oh wow, this healer guy, man. It's like, and I knew it was true. Like, okay, I know that he actually healed people. I was like, how do you do that? And so I was going down that road of how to be a healer. And then and I remember I was so full of fear, I didn't even have a girlfriend through college till the very end. And it was all fear. And so there I was cruising along, and it was the end of college, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want to be a medical doctor because I was kind of going down that road, the healer thing. But all I wanted to do was run. For some reason, I had this thing about running, and 70, 80, I ran up to 130 miles in college in a week. And the last semester, my grades just went because I was just running and sleeping and watching MTV. And my mom was begging me to just study, not ruin my grade point average. But there I was done with college, Texas A&M, and I didn't know what to do. And I thought, I just want to run. So I was running a lot of miles, running some of my best times ever. And then somebody told me about physical therapy. And so I looked into it. I went and volunteered a little bit. And I thought, you know what, I could actually even wear my sweatpants to work and just run to work, run back, give me plenty of time to run. And I'll do that. So after a couple of years of just hanging out and being a waiter, and that's a whole other story. But like when I was a busboy at first, because I didn't have enough self-confidence to even think about being a waiter. And so there I was, a graduate of Texas A&M, and 3.3 grade point average, because it really took a dive the last semester. It was over 3.5 till the last semester. And I was a busboy, but I thought I got to make a little more money than this. So I saw the waiters making lots of money. So I told the owners of Hill's Restaurant, Hill's Seafood in Bryan, Texas, College Station, Texas. I said, yeah, I want to be a waiter. So they finally agreed. And I remember the first day I went to work, and I was driving to work, and I was so scared. It was Friday, and it was going to be really, really, really busy. And it was really a high-end restaurant. You wore a little tuxedo, and people came and they expected a very high-end experience. And I thought, who am I to do this? It's like, I'm a little kid from Del Rio. It's like, I am nobody. What am I doing, big city waiter? But I kept driving, and I got there, and I did it. And it was terrifying. The first table, the second table, by the end of the night, all the waiters were congratulating me. I had a lot of money in my pocket, and I was like, whoa, that was cool. And just repetition, time, I got very comfortable, and it's just what I did. So I made really good money for me at the time. I ran mega miles. I drank tons of coffee. I ran my guts out and ran some great times, and I was having a great time. But then it was like, I can't do this forever. So I should apply to physical therapy school. So I got into physical therapy school, and the first semester I got injured running wise. And it was because I was so stressed out because I knew I was going to fail. Everybody failed the first anatomy exam. It's just the way the guy did it. But I was terrified that I'm going to fail. And so I thought I was going to fail every single semester until the last semester. And there was one point when it came really close. And it's only by the grace of God and one teacher that saved me. But I got through physical therapy school and had a girlfriend, and we moved to San Diego, because I thought, I don't want to live and die in Texas. You know, it's like you should do something besides just live in Texas. So even though I thought Texas was, well, I was kind of like over Texas at the time. Now it's like, good job, hook 'em horns and gig 'em Aggies, and I'm an Aggie. So, but the rest of my family is hook 'em horns, Texas. So we moved to San Diego. First we moved to Santa Monica, Venice, California, and wanted the LA experience, but it was just too much. And so we found a spot in San Diego, and I went to work at Mercy Hospital, the big hospital, teaching hospital, and I was terrified. And my hands would sweat all the time, and I was just like terrified. But I was making what for me was good money, and dual income, little apartment, San Diego, and living the good life, and but terrified. And so then I went and quit after 3 years and went to work for the registry, which is a place to make more money and have more autonomy. And I ended up at Scripps Chula Vista in San Diego, Southern San Diego, by Mexico, and had a great job, no boss, and per diem wages, and call your own shots. And so there I was going there, and I was a runner, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to start doing a little work on the side. So I took a couple of days to work on runners, helping them with all my techniques. And then they got a boss, and the boss said, you can't do that anymore. You got to work full time. And so I quit and started out on my own. And I started first at my own house in my second bedroom, and then a little bitty office, and then a little bigger office. And there came a point when I was on Lewis Street, and we didn't have any clients. My girlfriend had left me, and I was, I had a house in San Diego, but I was like, what am I doing? And I'd already overcome a lot of fear, but I still had fear. I still had some of my sweaty hand thing. It was going away. but it was about to go away big time. And my one practitioner that was working for me with me, we didn't have any clients, hardly any, 5 client visits in a week kind of thing. And so we would always go to tea and we would take walks around Balboa Park. And I said, I think I'm going to quit. I'm going to sell my house. I'm going to move to Portland, just go to the Pacific Northwest. And she said, well, you can always do that, but why don't you go rent that other spot? Because Doctors Bressler and Tunt said they would send you more people if you could see Medicare people. And that place was wheelchair accessible. And so I could see people with Medicare. So I thought, what the hell? So it was twice as much rent. So I put it on my credit card. And I don't know what possessed me, because I always wanted to live in the Northwest, but I was like, let's do this. And I spent twice as much rent money. I think it went from $600 a month to $1,200 a month, and in a bigger place. And those 2 doctors started sending me people. And so there we were cruising along, and I got into the integrated manual therapy then in 2000, February 2000. And what happened there was I took a class February of 2000, and Sharon and Tom and Iolette, what amazed me, because I'd already taken a lot of classes in Upledger's cranial sacral therapy and Jean-Pierre Braul's version of visceral manipulation, the organ manipulation stuff. And Paul Chauffeur, the osteopath from France, Mechanical Link, and I was into the Institute of Physical Arts, the functional kind of like the Rolfing kind of based stuff, and PNF and Feldenkrais. And I thought I had it pretty figured out, and my business was booming. It was me and one other therapist and one office manager and a Feldenkrais practitioner. And so we were like rolling. And then I met Sharon, and her and Tom, they could see things at a distance. Like they could look at me and go, okay, this is what's going on with you just from looking at me. And then here's how you fix it. And then my partner, Beth at the time, was my therapist, and she was partnering with me in class, and she would work on me with these new techniques in this class, the first class. And then I was way better. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. So we started taking these classes and bringing Sharon and Tom and their team into my office in San Diego. And that turned into 10 years, 110 classes. And a few years ago, I counted up the money that I've spent on my education for my healing work, and it's $750,000. So one of my friends, Cynthia, half jokes to her husband, we spent our retirement on Sharon. And it's like, well, we wouldn't have been where we are without it, but spent a lot of money, spent a lot of time. And that's when my anxiety went away and my sweaty hands thing went away, because we got to the root causes of all that. And there was a lot of spiritual pain and a lot of emotional, mental pain and anguish, and a lot of physical heart things to fix, and liver things to fix, and intestine, stomach things to fix, and kidney things to fix. And so I got healthier and healthier and healthier. My teeth quit falling out of my head, quit having cavities, anxiety went away. And but the thing is, those 2 doctors hardly quit sending me people, because the therapy just seemed too weird to them. But for some reason, I've had a thing that here's somebody with a problem, here's something that I do and try on them, and here's the result. And if the result is spectacular, I'm going to do more of this. And so the stuff I was using with Sharon and Tom, this integrated manual therapy, was getting spectacular results. So I had to do it. It had saved my life. And so as I started doing this more alternative kind of therapy, people were getting really good results, but occasionally somebody would go back to these doctors and go, it's kind of weird, man. They're just kind of touching me a little bit, or barely touching me at all, or not touching me. And so for some reason, those guys didn't want to refer as much. So my business took a real dive, but I had something that was working better, so I had to go with it. And my anxiety had gone away. So it was all the world to me, man. And my first wife, in the middle of all that, she took off. She goes, I think I want to be single again. So that was a whole thing. And that crumbled. And my business was taking a bit of a dive, but I was spending a lot of money traveling around the country and Canada, learning great stuff. And then my friend too from Los Angeles said, well, why don't you do what Sheila does? And so Sheila was using these consultants, and they're Scientologists based out of Burbank, LA, Los Angeles. And I thought, yeah, let's do it. I mean, Sheila's practice is booming, and she does this integrated manual therapy. So I spent $25,000 that I didn't have on my credit card. And at the time we were in the red a little bit every month. I had one therapist, but now she was only working half time. And my front office person, and we just, we had a fellow Christ person, but it's like nobody, we might not even have a fellow Christ person at the time, but things were kind of, if we would kept going like that, we would have just kept losing more and more money. And so I spent 25,000 bucks that I didn't have and went on a 9-month training with these guys, going up to LA and doing calls with them once a week and doing some terrifying stuff. Cause I started going out to visit doctors, and talk about pushing into your fears. Doctors do not like to meet with people. They just don't. And especially when they're at work, and they don't have great lives in general, the way they're working and the way the insurance companies and hospitals are treating them. So, but I was learning how to talk to them, and I was overcoming even more of my fears around putting myself out there. And these guys, these Scientologists, I spent $150,000 with them over about a 5 or 6 year period. And they built my business from making around $100,000 a year to $600,000 a year, and getting 5 therapists. And now we were making it. So it was like, whoa, this is cool. So for some reason, it's been my thing to overcome fears and then take big chances and go for it. And my sister asked me, like, why do you work so hard? And, you know, I think it's because on some levels, I'm trying to fix old problems, like this failure that my mom and dad had. They wanted a healing practice for my mom and spent some money and failed miserably. And there might be something there, but for whatever reason, this has been my thing to figure this healing stuff out and this business thing out, and this taking healing work and making the business thing and overcoming fears. And so, so there I was doing great. And now I had Jen, and we were married in Vancouver, and we had tons of money. And I'd spent $5,000 on a Kangen water machine. And then we bought another one for $10,000. And then we bought a small one for travel, because it did things to the water and made us feel better. But there was a problem. And so what happened was San Diego had started putting fluoride in the water in February of 2011. And Ben was born in October of 2011. But by May of 2011, on my birthday, I had what I thought was a running injury. Turns out it was really severe bone pain, and turned into really severe depression. And I was going to lots of practitioners to figure out what was going on, because they were telling me I was not looking good, like long-term, not looking good. Like, you better make sure you don't have cancer. And so I was going along, and life was all of a sudden like not good. And I had to change front office people because some people had moved out of town, and I got new ones, and they weren't very good. Some of them stole money from me, and they were kind of working together to like make the statistics look better than they were. And then all of a sudden they would say, yeah, we need $4,000, Ralph, to make payroll. And I'm like, what? So I would take money out of my house, and we were busy. And then it was like, why are we losing all this money? And then Medicare quit paying us. And I'm like, what is going on? So my business was going bam, and my health was gone, and I couldn't run. And I'm like, what the hell, man? So 2 years it took me to figure out that it was the fluoride. And then we got filters for the house, and I wasn't dying, but I couldn't run, severe bone pain. And then my friend Ben, another friend who's named Ben, he told me about using boron, the thing in borax, the laundry aid, and magnesium. He showed me a research article from Australia, and I used it, and 3 days later I was back to running. So I decided, you know what? We're moving, we're out of here. Because I had read the research on fluoride, and there's a 600% chance more increase in bone cancer if little boys are raised in areas that fluoridate the water. And now we know that it lowers IQs in children on par with lead. And there's a big lawsuit that should be coming to an end any time now to get it out of the water supply in the US, because it causes really bad health concerns. Not to mention that the stuff they actually put in the water isn't even medical grade fluoride. It's a byproduct of the aluminum and phosphate fertilizer industry. It's like hydrophosphate fluorosilicic acid and a lot of bad heavy metals. They actually buy it and put it in the water. It's the worst waste recycling system ever. And so anyway, I learned all this stuff and I said, we are out of here, man. We're not going to live in a place with fluoride. And that's what's got us to the Pacific Northwest. And then more problems with living in a toxic house. And every step of the way, as I've solved these things, coaches have helped me, healers have helped me. And one of the biggest things, there's numerous parts to this, of course, right? You got to be able to fix the physical body. And you've got to be able to find the mental, emotional, and spiritual anguish and be able to clear it on the spot. And you got to know what to put in your body and what not to put in your body. And you got to know how to change mindset. And then you got to actually do something if you're going to do a healing practice, like learn how to heal things and learn how to make money and learn how to ask people for money and learn how to deal with people's money's concern and learn how to clear these fears in the past. And so that's been my journey. And I think about it because some of the stuff I learned over the last 6 years has been the fastest way to clear the fears. And it goes right to the feeling that it causes in your body. And so instead of trying to fix up the thoughts and the beliefs and change your programming and mental trash things and have workarounds and hacks, there's a way to go right to the feeling and unravel it right at the source. And I wonder, like, why didn't I find that back a long time ago in San Diego? Because the guy that taught it to me, Christian Michelson, the first guy that taught it to me, he was in San Diego. He was in San Diego the whole time I was in San Diego, as he was going through this process of going from food stamps to being really abundant with money and doing coaching for the people. And he was like my neighbor, and I didn't even know him. And I didn't know that method, and I didn't find that method until years later up here in the Pacific Northwest. And I thought, why did I not find it then? And I think it was because I was supposed to do the 110 classes, and I was supposed to do the stuff with those Scientology consultants and learn about business. And I was supposed to learn how to find and clear mental, emotional, and spiritual pains, to spot it, physically see it with my eyes, whether I'm on the phone or in person with somebody. For some reason, I was supposed to learn all these methods and then come around to matrix energetics, which was so simple, and then come around to this very powerful way to clear the feeling that's connected to all the thoughts, beliefs, and subconscious patterns. If I would have found those first, I wouldn't have learned all the physical healing stuff. And I wouldn't have learned about fluoride and other toxins. And I wouldn't have learned how to spot in somebody where their problem is to healing or to their business. And so that's been my journey. And I think I'm telling it to you because as I've read a bunch of books, as I've worked with a bunch of coaches, what I've noticed is every single person on the planet is dealing with stuff. Even the people that make a lot of money. Tony Robbins literally almost died a year ago because he was eating tuna, lots of tuna, and he couldn't get rid of it. He had a gene thing that he couldn't get rid of the mercury, and he lost a lot of blood and he almost died. The guy makes $8 billion a year and he was almost gone. So everybody's dealing with their own version of stuff. So I think one thing is I'm trying to be very compassionate to anybody because we don't know what people are dealing with. But when people reach out to me for healing, I can help them. I can help them. I can spot stuff. I can correct for stuff, and I can shift stuff. And I can show people how to find it for themselves. So if this speaks to you and you want to fix something, heal something, change something, reach out to me, PM me. I've worked with a lot of people and I can direct you to what I see is the best way to help you. And if you want to work with me, let me know, and I can send you some trainings, a master class basically, and get you some healing. And if it works, if you think if it feels good to you, let me know. And PM me if this speaks to you. And I've got a special thing I'm doing for people on Sunday, a healing event. Just PM me. And if you're interested in interacting with me, doing this sort of thing, then just type in wherever you're seeing this on YouTube or Facebook, heal yourself, heal the world. And I will see you guys all very soon. All right. Much love, and I will see you later.